All right, so let's try this again. Hello, 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 hello. It is A'Tondra Vinchealle, the keeper of the Mermaid's wisdom. And if this is your first time watching me, hanging out with me, catching a live, catching a replay, interacting with me on any level, I am A'Tondra Vinchealle, the founder of the mermaidswisdom.com, and I open and create space for women to reclaim our time, our bodies, and our feminine essence. I like to see myself as a wellness strategist, as a wellness alchemist, and so I do my absolute best to support women in becoming healthy, happy, and whole in all areas of their lives. So this is your first time watching me, hop in and say hi. Let me know where you are watching from. It's always a pleasure to meet new people and to interact with new people. And if this is not your first time watching me, still pop in and say hi. You know, I always love to interact with the people who come and hang out with me on this platform all the time. As you are popping in, please make sure that you share this video. I definitely always appreciate your time and your attention. So as you come in, make sure that you are sharing, because sharing is caring and sharing is super awesome. All right, so what are we here to talk about today? So I want to discuss the 6 things that I believe that women need, that I believe that every woman needs to be healthy, happy, and whole. And then when we're done with that, then I want to talk about the free feminine wellness class, the free feminine physical wellness class that I have that's going to be coming up here in 3 weeks. Okay. So what led me to even discuss anything in this topic? Well, for those of you who may not know me, before starting the Mermaid's Wisdom, I already have another business in the fitness, health, and wellness space, a Stronger You Fitness, Health, and Wellness. And it is through that company that I work with busy professionals, entrepreneurs, high-performing men and women, and I teach them how to fit their fitness, health, and wellness into their busy lifestyles. And so I've been doing that as a business, as an official business, for about 6 years now. I had done some work in it prior to that, but as an official business, I've been doing that for about 6 years now. And in those 6 years, I went through a lot of different development stages, and my clients went through a lot of different development stages, and I learned a lot. They learned a lot. I continued to get education and certifications and all kinds of things to try to support my clients. When I first started that business, I was interested in weight loss. Like, that's what I wanted to do. Like, it was all about like weight loss. I want to help people lose weight. I want to help people build muscle, and I want to help people, you know, have low body fat and all of these other kinds of things. And so I jumped right in head first, worked at a couple of gyms before I actually started my own business full time. And one of the things that I noticed is that people would hire me and they would say, I want to lose weight, or I want to learn how to eat, or I want to learn all of these different things. Like, I want to do all of these interesting things with my body, and I want to look a certain way and all of this other kind of stuff. And so we'd go through the consultation, set up the schedule, set up the workout plan, set up the meal plan. And then, you know, in my mind, it was like, okay, so I've done all of these different technical things. You've done a metabolic assessment for those who did that. Like, I have all of your metrics. I understand your metabolism. I understand all of these things about your body physically. Now it's time for us to move on, right? Like, now it's time for us to get the work done. Like, we're going to hit the ground running. Boom, you're going to lose this weight. You're going to drop this body fat. It's going to be awesome. You're going to be in a bikini in 6 months and everything's going to be great. Well, one of the things that I started to notice over time in working with my clients is that it always started out like that, right? With all of these different physical goals. But then what would happen is, as we developed more of a relationship and there was a different kind of trust that we had for each other, my clients would start to give me a little bit more background about who they were. And they started to give me a little bit more insight into what was going on with them. And what I realized over time was that on the surface, it was, I want to look like this, or I want to do this thing with my body. But underneath all of that, there were all of these other things that were happening, all of these other things that were going on, that led them to this point of, now I want to lose weight, or now I want to drop body fat. There were all of these other things that were going on. And over time, as I matured as a professional, as I matured in the business, and as I started learning more, what I realized is that no matter how structured my physical program was, right? Like, I have the certifications, I have the degree, like, I understand the biochemistry and the body and all of these things. No matter how structured or customized my program was for that particular person, if those other items that were underneath the surface had not been dealt with, then the program itself didn't matter, because they would always, almost every single time, sabotage themselves out of receiving the results. They would sabotage themselves out of receiving the success that they desired. And so what would happen is we would start off with a workout session, and then we would have all of these different conversations. And there were even some clients who I've had in the past who I actually used to refer to a psychologist, because some of the things that were underneath the surface were way beyond my scope of practice, especially then. In the beginning, because I didn't have a lot of the knowledge that I have now. And even with the knowledge that I have now, there are some things that are discussed that are still outside of my scope of practice. And it wasn't until those things were being dealt with that we started to see not only changes, right? Like not only did we start to see them achieve their physical goals, but then what happened was we started to see sustainable change. Right. So it became a situation where it wasn't just, hey, I'm losing the weight, or hey, yes, I'm dropping the body fat. But what's now happening is that I'm actually sustaining the success that I had. And so over the last few weeks, over the last few months, actually, but particularly within these last few weeks, I've been having a lot of conversations with myself and going over some of my experiences with some of my old clients, and going over some of my notes and going over some of the things that I remember, because as I'm moving, my programs are moving, and my programs are upgrading to provide this more comprehensive model of health, of happiness, and of wholeness, especially when it comes to working with women. And so I'm going over my notes, and I'm going over the things that I remember, and I'm going over these different experiences, and I started to place all of these experiences in different categories. I started to group the information that I had received from clients over the 6 years, my 6 years of being in the fitness, health, and wellness business. And I started to group them into different categories. And I did this specifically with the women that I worked with, because I do still work with men, but that dynamic is a little bit different. So I did this specifically with the women that I have worked with over the last 6 years, and I'm categorizing all of these things. And what I realized was that every conversation, that I had, every piece of information, that I had received, every piece of insight that I received into all of my clients, all of the education that I had received prior to entering into the Well Woman Wisdom certification course, when I was really looking and really building comprehensive and whole programs, they fell into 6 different categories. And so I looked at these 6 different categories, and I looked at my own life, and I looked at areas in my life that fit into these 6 different categories. And I said, you know what? Absolutely. Like when these things are whole and together for me, then I am much healthier. I am much happier, and I am whole. And so I did that, and I go back over the experiences with my clients, and with a lot of my older clients. And I was like, you know what? Yes. As these 6 areas of their lives started to started to improve, so did their ability to maintain their results, so that their ability to maintain their consistency. They were healthier, they were happier, and they just felt more whole. Right? So I want to go over those 6 categories with you, understanding that there's always going to be, there are always subcategories, and there are always other pieces of information that could be added to this. These are the 6 categories that that are relevant to what I have seen in my practice, if that makes sense. Okay. So the first item here is Yoni health. Now, what does that mean? So Yoni is the Sanskrit word for, the womb, the vagina, our space of creativity. And by Yoni health, I don't only mean the physical health, like making sure that that you're not having any infections, making sure that you're having safe sex if you're not in a committed partnership. Not just that, but having a relationship with that feminine essence, like having a relationship with that seat, with that bowl, with that aspect of ourselves, from which we gain our foundation. Right? Understanding our relationship with the feminine and who she is, and how we either embody the feminine, or how we could stand to be supported in our embodiment of that. Because we must understand, as feminine women, again, this is, and I probably should have named it the 6 things that every feminine woman needs to be having, that needs to be happy, healthy, and whole. Understanding that this is the foundation for everything it is that we do. This is the foundation of our relationship with ourselves. This is with ourselves. This is the foundation for our relationship with the divine. Whether you call that God, the universe, multiple gods, whatever your spiritual practice of choice is, if you engage in any type of a spiritual practice, this is the seat of the creativity for everything it is that we do. So this is creativity as it relates to art, creativity as it relates to our relationships, creativity as it relates to our businesses, creativity as it relates to how we see ourselves in the context of this entire world, this physical world that we live in, right? This is the foundation for everything it is that we are, everything that we become, and everything that we desire to be. And so if there's not that solid relationship with the feminine, understanding our womb space and connecting with that, and connecting with that feminine essence, then there will always be something in other areas of our lives that are missing, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And it is our relationship with our feminine that informs upon all of these other areas in our lives, right? Okay, so there you have it. That's number 1. Yoni health, okay, relationship with the feminine. The second item that's important is going to be our physical health. Okay. And this has to do with our movement. How much are we moving? Are we moving? What kind of movement are we engaged in? How consistent are we with whatever our movement practice of choice is? Whether that is running, whether that is swimming, whether that is weightlifting, whether that is yoga, whether that is dance. So the types of movement that we're doing and the consistency with which we do that, right? And understanding that at different stages of our lives, we need different kinds of movement for different things. So understanding that as part of the physical health. Our nourishment is also a part of our physical health. What are we eating? What are we ingesting? Is our body, are we fully supporting our bodies and our metabolisms and our biochemistry? Are we fully supporting that nutritionally? Because a lot of the challenges that we may have physically typically tend to stem from an aspect of our biology, our physiology, our biochemistry that is not being supported on some level. And the best way to support our biochemistry on any level is through the foods that we are eating and what it is that we're drinking, making sure that we're getting the nutrients and the vitamins that are necessary for us to be healthy. And then also understanding that each woman is different. Each woman is at a different stage in her life. each woman has a different body type, and different body types inform upon how our bodies deal with certain nutrients. It informs upon our nutrient biochemistry. It informs upon the vitamins and the nutrients that we individually need to be supported in our physiology. Okay, so understanding that our stress elimination is also a part of our physical health, because stress literally sets off a cascade of biochemical processes that if not checked, if not taken care of, if not structured and eliminated or managed to the best of our ability, can create all kinds of things, create, issues with our relationships, can create diseases, anxieties and depressions and all of those kinds of things. So, understanding our sleep quality. So all of these things have to do with our physical health, right? Okay. So then the next aspect of this is going to be our social health, our relationships. How do we show up in our relationship with ourselves? How do we show up in our relationships with other women, especially in our communities, in our families? How do we show up in our relationships with our business partners, with our co-workers? How do we show up in our relationship with our beloved? How do we show up in our relationship with our children? Understanding that when a woman, when our social relationships are not healthy, then that also has an effect on other things. If you've ever worked with a woman who has gone through a breakup, if you've ever gone to school or have been friends with a woman who has gone through a breakup, and we'll use that as an example, you have eyewitness accounts, like firsthand accounts of how not being whole in our relationship can affect our relationships with ourselves and with other people, and our stress levels, and they affect us physically and all of those kinds of things. So it's very important for us as women to have very healthy social relationships. It's also very important for us as women to have very happy, healthy, and whole social relationships with other women. And there is some scientific research that supports that bears witness with that. On how that affects our body chemistry, whether or not we have whole relationships with other women, whether or not we have happy relationships with other women, right? Okay, so we've got our Yoni health, we've got our physical health, we've got our social health, we've got our financial security. Okay, if a woman is not financially secure, no matter what the level she is. So whether this is a woman who is a stay-at-home mom and her beloved is the one who is working and is paying all of the bills, whether this is a woman who is working a minimum wage job, if she is working, at mid-level career, if she's an entrepreneur, if she's got her own business, when women are not financially secure, okay, when we are not financially secure, then it is very hard for us to focus on those other aspects of our lives, right? Like if I'll give you a prime example. So last year, City of Houston, for those of you who may or may not be familiar, experienced Hurricane Harvey, right? It was one of the deadliest hurricanes in the history of hurricanes that have come through the state of Texas. And personally, in my own business, I saw a lot of changes. Why? Because it is very hard to attempt to focus on your physical health and your nutritional health. It's very hard to focus on those aspects of yourself when you are on the top of the roof of your house and you don't know where your family is going to sleep, and you don't know if you're going to have to go to a shelter. You don't know if you're going to be able to go back home. So, and that's a very extreme example, but I wanted to give that example so that you could really see and feel and understand why that financial security is so important for women. Because at the end of the day, you can be you can be as woo-woo, as frou-frou, la-la, whatever you want to call it, as spiritual as you want to be. You can be as healthy as you want, but if your bills are not paid, like if there's not food on the table and you're not sure how your rent's going to be paid, it's very hard for you to be able to focus on anything else, right? Okay, so here we go. We've got our yoni health, we've got our physical health, we've got our social health, we've got our financial health, which is financial security. The other item that I believe that all women, all feminine women need to really feel healthy and happy and whole and to really feel supported is to have solid and consistent spiritual practices. Now, when I say this, this is regardless of religion or your choice to not be a part of any religion. So if you are Christian or if you're not, if you're Hindu, if you are Muslim, if you have absolutely no religious practice or religious school of thought that you follow, it is still important for women to have solid spiritual practices. Okay? Because if you don't understand who you are in your relationship to the divine, from what I have seen in my practice in working with so many women over these last 6 years, it's very hard for you to dream, right? It's very hard for you to see beyond exactly what is right here in your face, right? So if you don't have a meditative practice to help you deal with some of the outside stress that may come your way, if you don't have any type of consistent practices to connect yourself to the divine that is within you, you being an aspect of the divine, you being an embodiment of the divine, if you don't have that connection, if you don't have that relationship, then it does become very hard, very difficult for you to see outside what is your current reality. It becomes very hard to dream outside of that current reality. And I'll have some more in-depth discussion on exactly what that means at a later time. But I did want to go ahead and list that because it's one of those six items. Okay, so we've got 5 now. So we've got physical health. We have gotten our social health. We've gotten financial security. We've gotten our spiritual health. So now I want to talk about the use, the access, the use, and the growth of our wisdom and our knowledge. Okay. Anything that is not growing is essentially dying. And regardless of what ideology you may want to hold about that, regardless of what you may think about that, your agreement with it or not, that is a reality. That is the truth. Anything that is not growing is dying. Anything that is not moving forward is dying. That is what it is. That is an inherent truth into what it is to be a part of this human experience. And as women, as feminine women, we are the first teachers of society, period. Okay? And this is outside of any feminist movement. This is outside of any feminine empowerment. This is, outside of any of the more modernized ideas of what a strong and successful woman is. As women, we are the first teachers of society, period. If you have children, you are the first teacher of your children. You begin teaching your children before they have even exited your womb. Your children learn about you and they learn about the outside world before they even exit your womb. Okay. If you do not have children, hey there, how are you? If you do not have children, even if you don't have children, you are still a first teacher of society. Because whether we want to agree with this or not, okay, whether we want to believe this or not, a lot of what men do okay, A'Tondra, just say it. A lot of what men do is informed upon by the relationships that they have with the women in their lives. Okay? Now, this statement is not an invitation to an argument about whether or not men are responsible for the things that they do or not. Okay? This is not an invitation for that. Right? Well, it's not my fault. This is not an invitation to determine whose fault what is. Okay? I will give you a prime example. I had a conversation with a woman not too long ago. And she was asking, why it seems like men are attracted to certain things. Okay? They want a chick with this and that, and she doesn't wear any clothes, and she's dumb, and she's this, and this, and they want a woman that's going to deal with their blah, 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 blah. And my response to her was, the reason why that is a reality is because we have had so many women who have dealt with those things, who have accepted those things, that it often creates this reality. If you have an entire community of women who choose to deal with being cheated on multiple times, who choose to deal with men, or who choose to be okay with men who don't want to provide for the home, who don't want to do anything, who are okay with the 50-50, all of those kinds of things, that becomes a reality. Right? And so one of the reasons why you see men do that is because there are so many women who have accepted that. Okay? A lot of the decisions that women make, a lot of the things that women do are also informed upon by our relationships with other women as well. So whether or not you have children, women are the first teachers of society, period. That's what it is. And so when you desire for things in your life to change, you desire to have a different type of experience, then you have to continue to gain the wisdom and the knowledge that's necessary for you to be able to have that experience. If you want something different, go and learn something different. And if you don't go and learn something different, then accept the fact that you are okay with where you are. Accept the fact that you are okay with where you are. Okay, so what do we have here? We have Yoni health. We have physical health. We have social health. Okay. We have spiritual health. We have financial security. And we have the use, growth, and access to wisdom and knowledge. Okay. So again, there are always exceptions to the rule. There are always new things that can be added. There are always things that can be changed. But in the 6 years of my working with women in the wellness space, most of the challenges that I have seen, that I have experienced, or that my clients have experienced, can be fit into one of those 6 categories. Okay. So there you have it. If you're not feeling healthy, happy, whole, if you're feeling overwhelmed, those are the 6 areas of your life that you need to really hone down on and look into and see, what is there for you. and what you can add to your experience, what you can learn, what you can bring into your experience to help you feel supported. Okay. All right. So now on to my free 5-day class. So I have a 5-day class. It's going to start on September the 26th, which I believe is a Monday. If it's not a Monday, it's a Sunday. One of those 2 days, but it's September the 26th, and it is fitness and nutrition for the feminine woman. So if you have been following me for any period of time, then you remember that I had actually done a series months ago. Actually, it was last year. Yeah, last year I did a series called Fitness and Nutrition for the Busy Professional. It was it was a 5-day series. I gave lots and lots of information. Like when I tell you I gave lots of information, I mean I gave lots and lots and lots of information. There was absolutely no way that you could walk away from that seminar, which again was totally free. Absolutely no way that you could walk away from that 5-day class and not be able to move in a direction that allowed you to experience fitness, health, and wellness. Okay. So, but that was fitness, health, and wellness for the busy professional. That was the 5-day series that I did last year. The series, hey there, Emily, how are you? The series that I'm doing that's starting on September the 26th is Fitness and Nutrition for the Feminine Woman. This is going to specifically speak to feminine women. Okay, this is going to specifically speak to feminine women. So what are we going to talk about on those 5 days? On the first day, we're going to talk about movement. Okay, so on those days, we're going to talk about exercise routines, different forms of movement, why that's important, what happens to the body physiologically and biochemically when you incorporate consistent movement into your lifestyle. We're going to have a short conversation on weight loss. We'll have a short conversation on really what it means to drop body fat, if that's something that you actually want to do, what that means for you in the context of your physiology. Okay, so that's going to be day 1. Day 2, we're going to talk about nourishment. And I am specifically going to have a discussion on what women need to be nutritionally supported. Okay, so if you've been following me and you're looking for the difference between those two series, this is one of the major differences. I'm going to be discussing specifically what women need to be supported nutritionally in different stages of the month. So here's what I will tell you. Okay, in order for you to really get the most out of this 5-day series, what you will need to do, or what I would invite you to do, or what I would suggest for you to do, is to take my free MoonTime Health and Consciousness class. Because in this 5-day series, is going to be based on the feminine cycle. So when I talk about nutrition for feminine women and exactly what we need, I'm going to talk to you about exactly what we need at certain times of the month based on your feminine cycle, how that supports you nutritionally, how that supports you from a nutrient biochemistry perspective, and how that supports your energy levels and all of those things. I will not be discussing the actual stages themselves, what the actual stages mean. And so again, in order for you to get the absolute best out of that, you're going to need to, it would make more sense for you to watch the MoonTime Health and Consciousness class. It's totally free. If you go to the website, themermaidswisdom.com, and you go to, if you click on the button that says learn, you'll see where the classes are. Click on it, do all the things, and you can get in there. Okay. But I will specifically be discussing what it means to nourish a feminine woman from a nutrient biochemistry perspective. Okay. All right. So that's day 1. That's day 2. Day 3, okay, is going to be sleep quality part 1. Day 4 is going to be sleep quality part 2. So you can see the importance of sleep quality and why I am breaking that material up into 2 different sessions, because sleep quality is extremely important, especially for the feminine woman. And the reality is, if you're, regardless of what I teach you about yourself physically and regardless of what you learn about yourself nutritionally, if you are not properly managing your sleep and properly experiencing optimal quality sleep on a daily basis, then nothing else that you learn in this class is going to make any sense. Well, it'll make a lot of sense, but it's not really going to work for you, and you're not really going to be able to receive the results that you are seeking. Okay, so sleep quality part 1, sleep quality part 2, and then on the 5th day, the last day of the series, I'm going to be discussing stress elimination over stress management. Okay, so it's going to be a 5-day class. It's going to be completely free. I'm not charging for it. So let's go over the 5 days again. The 5 days are: day 1, we're going to talk about movement, which has all to do with exercise, stretching, all forms of movement, what forms of movement are best, and what that means for you in the context of being a feminine woman and following your feminine cycle and all of that. Day 2, I'm going to be discussing nourishment, exactly what women need to be nourished at different parts of the month, depending on your feminine cycle, what you need nutritionally to be supported, as far as energy is concerned, as far as your metabolism is concerned, as far as weight loss is concerned, all of those kinds of things. Okay. Day 3 is going to be sleep quality part 1. Day 4 is going to be sleep quality part 2. And then day 5 is going to be stress elimination over stress management. Okay. So that's the 5-day class. Now that's one 5-day series. And what's going to happen is over the next few months, I'm actually going to do several of these 5-day series, type programs or whatever. And so you're going to want to be on a lookout. You're going to want to be on a lookout for that. Okay. Now, why am I doing this and how is this going to work? Okay, so let's talk about why I am doing this. Okay, so I am doing this for multiple reasons. The first reason I am doing this for is because I am going to be creating a library of content for the Sisters of the Mermaid's Lair. It's going to be a part of a membership site that I am building for the Mermaid's Lair. And one of the things that I always like to explain to my audience is that typically what I will do before I make a paid offering is I will typically offer those services on a complimentary basis. Okay. It gives me an idea of whether or not this is something that I want to teach, whether or not this is something that I want to do, whether or not this is something that women find value in, and whether or not this is even something that I want to continue. Like, do I want this to be a part of my experience as the keeper of the mermaid's wisdom, as a business owner, those kinds of things. Is this something that I even want to do? Okay. So that's the first reason. The second reason why I want to do this is because I get a lot of questions in my inbox about many different topics. Again, interestingly enough, most of the questions that I receive in my inbox or in my private group fit into one of those 6 categories. And what happens a lot of times is I feel like I end up answering the same questions over and over and over again. Because I will answer the question for one person and I'll answer the question for another person, and it becomes inefficient at a certain point. And so I want to have a body of work so that when these questions are asked of me, then I have somewhere to refer you to. I have somewhere to refer women. Okay, well, I have a question about this. Okay, we'll go and watch this video. Oh, I have a question about this. Okay, we'll go and watch this class. And what that does is that frees me up energetically to be able to do some of the other things that are important to me so that I don't spend my time repeating answers to questions and constantly answering questions over and over and over again. Okay, that's number 2. The third reason why I am doing this is because so I have obviously people who know me personally. Okay, and I had a conversation and then I went into meditation, and what Spirit said is that I have got to stop doing complimentary consultations for people because they know me personally. Okay. And so if you are one of those people, understand that I say this with cinnamon on my tongue, understand that I say this with love, because I'm going to tell you what happened, right? Like, these are conversations that I used to just have, like, oh, A'Tondra, I have a question about this. And so I'm sitting on the phone for an hour and 15 minutes. Oh, well, A'Tondra, I have a question about that. So I'm sitting on the phone for an hour and a half. And I had a conversation with someone, and, my king was like, babe, he was like, that was literally like an hour and a half coaching call that you just did. Like, you literally just did a coaching call for free. And I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. But I continued to do them. And then this last time I went into meditation and Spirit said, you have got to stop doing that. And I was like, why? You know, because in my mind, when I was originally having these conversations, it used to be really draining, right? Like, until I got deep into, huh? Okay, poopy poop. Do you have your MoonTime box? You have it? Okay. Make a list of what you need. All right. And we'll make sure that you get it. Okay, poopy? All right. You love you. So I would have these conversations and I would feel drained. And then what happened is, as I started to get deeper into my own meditative practices and I started to commune with Spirit, and I realized that I could have, you know, these conversations and actually allow myself to be a channel for Spirit, right? To actually allow Spirit to channel through me in my attempt to help people, or to work with people, or to assist people, or to support women. What happened is I started to not feel physically drained. And so in my mind, I was like, well, shoot, I don't feel physically drained. I could do this all day. Like it doesn't physically drain me. Like, why can't I do it? And what Spirit said is that's exactly the reason why you should stop doing it for free. Because now what's happening is you are now able to serve and support on a higher level. You're supporting on a higher level. Okay. And so out of respect for the work that is being done, I am no longer going to be doing free coaching calls and consultations for people who know me personally. And don't take this personal. This is not a shot at any one particular person. But at the end of the day, one of the things that must be understood is, you know, yes, I am a loving person, and yes, I am a giving person, and yes, I do all of those things. And at the same time, the Mermaid's Wisdom is a business. The Mermaid's Wisdom is a business. It is not a nonprofit organization. It is not a volunteer organization. It is not a cause that I'm looking to volunteer on. The Mermaid's Wisdom is set up as a for-profit business. And so with regard to that, in order for me to respect my own craft and to respect my own energy, then I have to step out of this idea that because people know me personally, or because we may be friends, if you call me and you ask me a question about what it is that I do as a business, that I am in some way obligated to provide you that coaching or to provide you that consultation at no cost. And so that's something that has to change. And so what I want to do is create this body of work so that when people have questions, I have a place to refer them for that level of support. And so that I'm not continuously, you know, utilizing energy and utilizing my resource to, you know, to provide that for free. I mean, that it is what it is. However, like I said, with all of my offerings, I always, before I put them up for sale, in most situations, they are available for free. And so that's one of the reasons why this 5-day series is going to be complimentary, as well as a lot of the other 5 days series events that I have coming up. Those are also going to be complimentary as well. All right. So how is this going to work? Okay. This is where there will be some changes. Okay. Here's the thing. Okay. I am no longer going to allow myself to be in a position where I am investing in people who have not made some type of commitment or investment in themselves. Why? Because what happens is, what you must understand is, as a teacher, as a facilitator, as a guide, and as a business owner, we have a responsibility. And when we give the information out, then the idea is that people will take that information, they will take those tools, those tips, and those strategies, and those tools, tips, and strategies will then change their lives. And then from that point in their life changing, then we now have a testimony that we can use, right, as part of our experience. Well, what happens when you continue to make investments in people who are not willing to make commitments or investments in themselves is that they continue to consume your content, they continue to consume your content, they continue to consume your content, but then nobody is using the actual information. right? They're not using the tips, they're not using the tools, they're not using the strategies. And so there are no testimonies that come out of that. And so there's not any additional seedlings to use to continue to grow along this path, right? So what I'm going to ask, even though I'm not going to ask you for a monetary investment, I am going to ask that you make an investment in yourself. So this 5-day series is not going to be hosted on my private Facebook page, and it's not going to be hosted on the Mermaid's Wisdom Facebook page. This 5-day series is only going to be shared in the Mermaid's Lair and Periscope. If you're interested in following me on Periscope, if you want to follow me on Periscope, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Periscope at Mermaid's Wisdom. So Mermaids with an S, Mermaid's Wisdom. Okay. In order to view this 5-day summit, you're gonna have to be in the Mermaid's Lair. Okay, that's where it's gonna be. It's gonna be done in the Mermaid's Lair. If you are interested in entering into the Mermaid's Lair, in joining the Mermaid's Lair, you can do so at www.themermaidswisdom.com/sister group. Okay, look at it, read it, see what we're about, see what's being created there. And if that resonates with you, then come in and join the group. Understand this: if you fill out the form and do not confirm your address, I will not let you into the group. If you fill out the form, confirm your address, and you do not answer the questions that are like right there before you actually enter into the group, I will not let you into the group, period. I think there are 7 people right now in the queue that are waiting to get access to the group who have not answered the questions and who have not confirmed their email address. If you don't confirm your email address, and if you do not answer the questions, you will not be given access into the group. That's what it is. Okay, that's what it is. And this is going to go for the Fitness and Nutrition for the Feminine Woman 5-day series. This is going to go for any of the 5-day series events that I do that are going to be completely complimentary in the beginning. They are going to be hosted in the Mermaid's Lair. So again, if you want access to that, go to www.themermaidswisdom.com/sister group. Or if you decide that you don't want to be in the group, I will also be doing it on Periscope as well. Okay, so I think that's it. I think that's all that I have. Do I have anything else? Nope. I gave you the 6 areas where women need to be supported in order to be and feel happy, healthy, and whole. And I talked to you about the 5-day series. So if you're watching this, please share this video because in that 5-day series, I give away so much information because my goal is to give you the tips, the tools, the strategies, and the knowledge that is going to be necessary so that when you get off of that video, when you watch that series, you'll be able to say, okay, I can do this, and now I can create a system where I can experience physical fitness and nutritional wellness. Okay, so that's going to be the first one. All right, that's it. Join us in the Mermaid's Lair at www.themermaidswisdom.com/sister group. And I will make sure that you get all of those details for the free 5-day series when they are available. Okay, so I'm out of here. I love you all. Love you all. I thank you so much for your time and your attention. I never, ever take that for granted. And I wish you the absolute most joy and passion and pleasure and ease and flow that you can accept into your own life experience. I love you. Thank you, and bye-bye.